My name is Soukayna, and in Arabic, it means peace. By an airport, my name is random security search. On the street, my name is terrorist, jihadi, brainwashed, and dumb. On the news, my name is ISIS, suspect, extremist, and radical. The way we name ourselves is a reflection of who we are, our identities, our family histories, the morals we abide by, the values we believe in, the cultures and the traditions. But the way we name others is a reflection of our declarations, our fear, and our courage. 4 years ago, while walking back from university to my house, and exactly during the week of the Paris attacks, 2 students passed by my side, and they started staring at me with so much hatred, atrocity, and enmity. They started speaking with the conviction that I will not understand what they're saying. They looked at me and said, "They are all terrorists." Their words didn't just shred my world into pieces. They didn't just demolish my pride and my dignity, but they have washed away my 18 years of education, my country's decades of history and traditions, my religion's centuries of existence. At 19 years old, I didn't know I too could be blamed for the death of 129 innocent people. At 19 years old, I didn't know that neither my bubbly personality, nor my academic achievements, integrity, or love of life wouldn't protect me from being sentenced as guilty for terror. I went back to my room with my heart full of agony and pain, with fear to what was coming tomorrow, with anger towards myself, towards my religion, towards my people, towards my culture, and towards my ethnicity. I went back to my room, staring at every corner, trying to find one single familiar item that could alleviate my pain. I started staring at my books, blaming them for bringing me to England, seeking education. At that age, I didn't know that calling me a terrorist shows how much non-Muslims are scared of Muslims, how much prejudice they have against a religion that I have chosen to follow. I used to wake up every day during that week with a pondering heart, wishing that I will not hear that there is a terror attack that has taken place in the Western world in the name of Islam. I used to wake up every day shaking from fear that no one would misuse my religion, misinterpret it, or manipulate it. I used to wake up checking my social media account, wishing that if ISIS, and thinking that if ISIS, Taliban, or Al-Qaeda have committed any crime or have killed any innocent, I'll be sentenced in the eyes of my lecturers, my friends, and even the people I take the bus with in the morning. I used to walk with my head down, thinking that my hijab exposes me to people's negative judgment and opens so much prejudice against me. So I felt I was so powerless and so weak that I cannot defend the religion that I am the most proud of. I have seen and heard Muslims being attacked in Europe, exactly like what happened after 9/11. And my heart was growing so much pain. I was crying in silence for the brutality, the cruelty, and the injustice that the world was witnessing. My overthinking has suppressed my personality, my identity, and my convictions. I turned into someone I myself couldn't recognize. I changed from an active advocate for basic human rights to a defeated human being. I have seen Muslims walking with their head down, and especially immigrants, wanting to lead a quiet, peaceful, and calm life. I've heard someone telling me, a refugee during my volunteering time at the refugee camp in Calais, "We are not here to invade, but we are here to set up a better life for ourselves and our children." Thinking about all of this has made me remember my upbringing towards Islamophobia while I was based in Morocco. I still remember how my parents would use a remote control to switch from Western to Arab channels when we hear these words: terror, Islam, or 9/11. that age, my parents thought that they're protecting us, me and my siblings, from any prejudice against a religion that they fought so hard to teach it to us freely from any misinterpretations. At that age, I didn't know racism against Muslims exists, because I thought we're almost 2 billion people. We're the fastest growing community in the world, and we are also mathematicians, physicians, Nobel Prize holders. We are doctors, we are lawyers, we're students, and we are public officers. So how can the world disrespect us? How can we be seen as different? Then I started looking at Islamophobia, and I discovered that I actually encountered it way before that incident. At the age of 18, with so much hope for life, and as a fresh graduate from high school, I had the choice to decide where I will do my further studies. So I thought I was ready to leave home and go conquer a degree to make myself and my family proud. And as a Moroccan, our usual destination for education would be France. And with the nature of my personality, with my curiosity, I was researching, reading, and asking people. So I discovered the bitter truth, that the school that I was aiming to go to doesn't accept female students with a hijab. That my life would be so horrible if I'm identified as a Muslim, and that I will neither get a seat on the table nor get a voice. At the time when non-Muslims were scared of me, I was scared of them too. So what I did, I used the same remote control my parents used to change channels, to switch my destination. But this time it wasn't a TV. This time it was my career. It was my future, my aspirations and my dreams in question. As a kid, I lost the right to select the country where I would like to spend the most beautiful years of my life, my 20s. And with my friends, selecting a country based on a culture, on a language, or even a school, or maybe a sunny weather. I was searching on Google, what is the most tolerant country in Europe towards hijab and Islam? And that's how I came to England. So thinking about all of these details, and while I was in my room after that incident, I was sitting and I realized that I was in a situation to make a decision for myself, where to belong and how to survive. So I decided that my fear towards Islamophobia has to end exactly like Islamophobia has to end too. I promised myself that I will help end it, that I will fight it with my wisdom, with my career, and I will end it with my education and my savoir-faire. So I remembered when my parents dropped me first at the airport for my London flight 5 years ago. I thought I was carrying 2 big suitcases full of clothes, food, and personal items. But I was wrong. Little did I know that what I was carrying in those big suitcases were the values that Islam has inculcated in me. What I was carrying in those big suitcases were dialects, were bloodlines and ancestry. What I was carrying in those suitcases was hope and change. I was carrying a belief that says no to discrimination and violence, and a yes to harmony, peace, and kindness. I then realized that I cannot be a normal, ordinary student in a foreign country, because I am a Muslim, African, Moroccan, and Arab female student living abroad. And the time where it's about me, I and myself, has ended. I hold the responsibility of all these people and all these communities in my name. Sadly, we all have woke up to the horrific news on March the 15th of this year of a gunman walking to Al Noor Mosque in Christchurch, New Zealand, and started shooting people in their place of worship and filmed it on social media. 51 people were shot execution style for the only reason that the killer has believed that their fate sentenced them to death and that they deserve to die. We woke up to the Daily Mirror describing a horrible man as an angelic boy who turned into a mass killer. It took people days, weeks, yes, months to realize that he wasn't just an ordinary criminal, but a terrorist. So for me, since day one, his name is hate crime. The 51 people he killed were men, women, and children. The 51 people he killed were known for being moms and dads, wives and husbands. They were known for being sons and daughters, students, influencers. They were known for being teachers, lawyers, taxpayers, and New Zealanders. The 51 people he killed, their name today is, "You're too innocent to have been taken." Their name today is, "Rest in peace." But the gunman didn't ask them their names. He assigned each of them a name when he assigned each of them a bullet that has taken their lives. Sadly, research has proven that with media coverage, the first story that gets revealed is the story that sticks the most, even if it's not true. So let's take the example of the Paris attacks. People were saying that refugees are dangerous because now they can hold a passport. Till later on, when it was proven that neither refugees nor Syrians were involved in that terror. But when we have this huge habit of misnaming people, we tend to overlook this kind of mistakes. When we live in a society of fear, a society that doesn't ask one another their names but assign it to them, we end up with the mouth of an anchor man or the mouth of a gun doing all the talking. In the 21st century, seeing crimes with such a scale tells us that we cannot sit down and watch the world going by. We cannot sit down without researching, asking, reading, and stop judging. So by now, I want you to all to know that terrorism has no shape or color. And then I understood, after all of this, that when we tend to refer a name to a certain depiction, wrongfully including some and excluding others, we end up caging a mass number of people under a name that says dangerous, although they're nowhere near it. It's when, like, we say thug instead of a 17-year-old black kid. It's like when we say alien instead of an immigrant. It is like when we say lazy poor people instead of unequal wealth distribution, or when we say bomb instead of a clock. With this in mind, what we are up against here goes beyond anti-Muslim hatred. It is a structural, often unconscious bias. It is a division in the world that attacks humanity in general and that deprives human beings, exactly like you, from their basic human rights. It is a division in the world that attacks Muslims, Catholics, Christians, Buddhists, Hindus, Mormons, or Jews. This happens when we tend to change the way life is. This happens when we tend to choose meaningless over kindness. When we choose to not accept differences in people and not embrace them. When we blame the barbarism of 1,000 people on 2 billion others. Then, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, this is a bloodshed against the whole civilization. After I survived, or all survived, we all survived, the Punish a Muslim Day in England. I haven't just seen bad in people, but I have seen a goodwill from people who I have least expected from. So let me tell you my story. I was sitting in a coffee shop, by myself drinking coffee, and an old English lady approached me and asked if she could join. As much as I was surprised, I welcomed her. So she started off the conversation telling me that her name is Veronica, and that her day is going great because it was sunny outside. and that she'll be attending her grandson's wedding the following week. This amicable conversation that seems simple to all of you has built a foundation between two people, ignoring all differences. Then she randomly said, "I'm sorry for everything you have to go through and you're going through right now. I want you to know that here, we love Muslims because we think they're nice people. And that I would like you to know, we stand by you. So if it wasn't for this extra piece of material on my head, she wouldn't have known to tell me all of this. In 5 years, I'm considered an immigrant because I'm in a country to which I am a foreigner. I haven't just seen people who hated me for my religion, but I've also seen people who haven't showed me nothing but love, friendship, and care. I have seen people and dealt with them who have helped me expand my mindset into accepting the similarities. I have seen people who made me forget the fear of living in a foreign country. And I've seen people who have given me so much conviction and helped me build the strength to be who I am, exercising my faith the way it should be. These people are my non-Muslim friends, my non-Muslim lecturers, or even a policeman or a cashier who smiled at me while doing my groceries. These people have taught me one thing, which is when someone wants to know anything about you, they cross this threshold of fear and start by asking you your name. And then I met other people who started asking me these questions. What is the thing on your head? Are you forced to wear it? Is Islam really about jihad and violence? Does the Quran really ask you to kill all of us? Are men really allowed to beat up their wives in Islam? And are women not allowed to leave their houses? So these questions that are seemingly uncomfortable for everyone are how I know I have been humanized. So with all the conviction that my faith gives me, I start happily replying, no, Islam has nothing to do with violence. The same word Islam itself, it means peace, and it refers to the submission to the Creator. No, I wasn't forced to wear the hijab, but I have chosen to. No, my religion didn't tell me to kill anyone or harm anyone, because it says in the Quran, if one slew one life, unless it be for murder or mischief in the land, as if one slew the whole people. And if one saved one life, is that he saved the life of all people. No, jihad has nothing to do with the way people are defining it. Jihad in Islam means a jihad in the soul. It means spreading welfare and well-being. No, men are not allowed to exercise any form of violence against women. Because men are asked to look after women, care for them, treat them gently. And men, if only they were abiding by the values that the Quran has taught them, we wouldn't have been fighting for women's rights in the 21st centuries, but we would have all of them. And I haven't seen a single religion that has put in all its formality the importance of the woman more than Islam. So there's this story that I always remember while explaining Islam. There was this Hindu who went to his Muslim neighbor and asked, "Can I borrow one of your books, the Quran?" So the Muslim friend went, "Yes, of course. We have so many. Let me grab you one from our library." After 1 week, the Hindu returns. "Thank you. This book is fascinating. But can I borrow the other copy of the Quran?" The Muslim neighbor was surprised and started laughing. "But you're holding it in your hand." Then the Hindu went and said, "No, I have read this one, but I want the other copy of the Quran that the Muslims are following." As much as this story is sad as much as it tells the reality of the world we're living in. Because this thing about jihad and establishing Islamic states, that has got nothing with what the Quran says. So what we are up against here is a confusion between culture and religion. Because people tend not to read the Quran. They come with their own ideas and start looking for verses that could confirm what they want to hear. And if I am here today, it's not to give you a lecture about Islam, but I am here today to awaken the unconscious bias that has been driven by media coverage, terrorist attacks, and historical prejudices. If I'm here today, it is to tell you that if you think I'm a jihadi, then yes, I am a jihadi, but not with weapons and bullets, but with education and knowledge. If you think I am brainwashed, then yes, I am brainwashed. I am brainwashed from any ignorance, barbarism, and injustice. And if you think I am a terrorist, then no, I am not. I am the voice of change. I am hope for next generations, and I am peace itself. Thank you.